And welcome back, everybody, to the grand finals of the EPS Spring League of Legends tournaments presented by the Gaming Stadium. I hope you all have been enjoying the show so far. We're going to have an absolute two or best of three, whatever you prefer to say, coming up next against Osborne 1 versus McNally.
Yeah, and don't even blink because the game will be over. These teams are the fastest teams in the entire tournament, average about just under 23-minute games here, but very, very different teams. Osborne, we've seen how they play. Really strong individual players. McNally, on the other hand, they don't usually win through just kills and just lane pressure. They have some of the lower KDAs, but they just play the macro so well.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great way to put it. McNally, I know we haven't seen them on stream today, but McNally finished off their semifinals match yesterday in a pretty dominant fashion over Osborne 2, actually. So McNally does tend to play around like kind of a more 1-3-1 composition style, but they also really like to play around their top lane, kind of like does an island on like a good split push one, and then kind of focuses on their 4-person core, and they're really good at rotating around and playing around that. And they actually have, I think, really been partial to like counter engage comps, or just ability to like, oh, if your team makes a mistake, they can really easily punish it. So they like fluid comps that can play in many different ways.
Yeah, because when you go for that sort of AoE wombo combo compositions that we've seen so much of this tournament, albeit slightly lesser today, you're very tied into that. That's the only way you win, is you look for those big team fights. And as we said, for McNally, when they play quickly, you don't want to be tied into that. You don't want to have to wait for your ultimate cooldowns. You want to just be able to push when you want to, rotate when you want to. We've not even touched on any of the bans at all, but Osborne banning triple ADCs here. And McNally, the Osborne special man, casting off the table. And Darius, they were watching here. They don't want Bio on the Darius.
That game. They're like, nah, get that out of here. No, actually, with the Xayah and the Kai'Sa ban and a K, wow, that's 380k. Yeah, I think they want to lock in the Vayne. You know, I have this stinking suspicion they want to play Vayne.
just maybe. I don't know. I mean, Tristana's still available though. So if you lock in that, run into the Tristana. Hello, Nunu pick.
Nunu.
Is this? I have that many McNally games, unfortunately, because they are just so quick and I just keep missing them. But is that normal for them? Like,
yeah. I think it was McNally that just kept randomly getting these Nunu bans, and it was just kind of like blowing our minds. Like, why do they keep banning Nunu?
Okay, I mean, I like Nunu personally. I loathed it when it was Nunu mid, but in the jungle, it's really effective. The Nico coming through, I'm going to assume that's for Ripper in the mid lane as well. So they already have some good AoE to match, and I like it against a Vladimir, against a Hecarim here. It really feels like you're matching Vladimir for the AoE. You've got the Nico to match. Hecarim wants to go fast. Nunu does too. So really feels like they're kind of mirroring each other a little bit in terms of meta versus non-meta.
And I did check our stat sheet. Yeah, no, their Nunu would just continually get banned every single game. So I guess maybe on like their OP.GG or something like that, that's like a dominant pick they like. But there's a set coming up. But actually, Nico is a big comfort pick as well for McNally for their mid laner. They played it in the last series, and it was just beautiful to watch. They would counter engage, and then they go straight into the Xayah ult, and it was usually just a beautiful combo to watch to just punish the die that the team they're playing against was issuing.
Yeah, no Xayah this time, unfortunately, but ooh, that's another champion that can do a lot of AoE here.
We haven't seen, I think we've seen one Jinx so far.
Wait, I think I remember that game, and if I remember correctly, the Jinx didn't do too hot in that one, but
hey, that's minor details. Jinx is in the game, and I am excited.
Yeah, I am too. I want her to get excited here, because that means we're getting plenty of kills, plenty of turret takes here, and more importantly, I'm just thinking Jinx, not quite as quick as Tristana at taking down turrets, but with the range can safely poke down a turret, and if left unattended with that minigun as well, can absolutely shred. We see the Galio coming out against Osborne, and the Camille coming out against McNally here. So interesting. I think the Galio also just to stop the engage or counter engage in the AoE that might come out from a support Galio,
well, actually the Galio was I think played by not actually Osborne 1 as much, but we have seen Galio come out a lot in mid lane with some of the teams to just secure their jungler quite a lot of advantages. So actually I'm kind of curious to see McNally banning it, because they're usually the Osborne 1 does kind of play around like a dominant mid lane. But yeah, as you said, the Vlad already picked in, so kind of an interesting ban, because I don't think Galio support is like quite as good as it was.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking the Vladimir, that to me is, I think Super Mario, I was told, Kassadin, Vladimir, Swain, right? So we've seen the Kassadin. The Vladimir's been picked or banned away from him as well. So we've seen only Swain. So I'm assuming that Vladimir's going mid. And I don't think I don't know if Bai plays Vlad. But either way, Thresh coming out, Tristana coming out. So forget triple ADC. We've now got quad ADC for Osborne. But that Vayne, it's still available. And you know what? I think Vayne into Jinx isn't the worst matchup for the Vayne.
Yeah, and so far the Morgana locked in here too. So actually, I think it's going to be interesting if they do pick up the Vayne, because the Nunu does tend to not do a ton of damage, particularly on ganks and stuff like that. You know, just to put it lightly, unless he's like extremely fed. So the Vayne will kind of just chunk through this Nunu and make it not an enjoyable time. But the Vayne is locked in there. Hey, it's the iconic pick. They gotta do it. It's very important.
Yeah, I mean, low class doesn't seem to care what you pick there. We will pick that Vayne. If it's the worst possible lane matchup, we don't care if we're running into Tristana, Nautilus here. We will do it, and we will try and carry. So Osborne, they're back in their wheelhouse here. Late game skilling mid laner, late game skilling ADC, and you're relying on Bai on this set to try and pretty much carry you through the early game. It's tried, it's proven, it works. And for McNally here, they're looking for their top laner. So you got to find something that's going to stop Bai from taking over.
Yeah, and the Camille ban, I think, was actually pretty crucial, because in their first game of McNally, we've seen in the tournament, there's the Wukong. Actually, Camille was played by McNally in their first match, actually was played to quite a great effect. So I think that was also a combination of, yes, removing a kind of bad matchup for Darius, but also a target ban as well. But the Wukong coming in here, this is exciting.
Yeah, we've seen Wukong into Bai's Darius. Now we're going to see Wukong into Bai's Set. And I feel like it's scary for the Wukong running into a set. Yes, the set's going to be punching you a lot. But comparing to that blender, the fact that Darius can still hit you even when you're invisible, even when you've left your clone behind here, I think the set is going to be a slightly more comfortable matchup here. But I don't know if you're going to necessarily be good enough. I've not seen It's About Time play too much here. I remember watching him play Cho'Gath, and that was very scary, but Wukong, a whole different beast here.
Exactly, and I think another focus we should put on is the jungle matchup here, because I think last time we saw the Nunu come out was actually Wagner versus Osborne. I can't remember exactly which jungler they pulled out. I think it was Hecarim on the side of Osborne 1, and they just completely denied the Nunu from getting into the game. They basically got their jungler ahead, and just the counter jungling was just like a free feast for Osborne 1. So if it does get to that straight, it's going to be kind of on McNally to make sure their jungler can not get punished as heavily, because obviously the trading on Nunu in the jungle very early on is very, very weak.
It's something that I'm not really used to hearing. You don't see a ton of, is that you've got to protect the Nunu, right? Because the Nunu is consumed. He's usually known as the counter jungler. He's the one who kind of goes in and annoys your jungle. When you try and contest buffs against the Nunu, you always have to be super careful, because consume versus smite almost always guarantees it for a Nunu who knows how to play it. But in this particular case, you're completely right. Nunu can be punished, can be exploited. And if they fall behind with the Vayne, with the Vladimir, both of them will happily just chew through the health bars of a Nunu as well. And I'm just very curious to see how this McNally composition is going to work. It doesn't feel like there's elements of an AoE composition, but it's not your meta AoE, right? Like, you've got Wukong to initiate, you've got the Nico to follow up, Soul Shackles is great as well, Nunu Snowball, all of that really, really good. And then you've got the Jinx on the backline just free firing safely. So there's that, but at the same time, I don't feel like the lanes are particularly strong. And I say that against a Vladimir who basically has no pressure early, and a Vayne Lulu who have yet to really show that they can run the lane without dying.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, you did miss our class act of what you can do on Vayne and Lulu with this bot lane if you do let them get ahead. But actually, I think an interesting part of McNally too is actually note their counter engage. Because if you do commit onto this comp, the Nico ult is a huge denial tool. Also, she does have like the Zhonya's Hourglass, so she's probably going to go in the Zhonya's Hourglass later in the game, I imagine. So if you do commit on her, she can Zhonya's ult after punish you for your engage. You have Soul Shackle, yet again Zhonya's, and you got the Wukong ult and stuff like that. So I think engaging into McNally is actually going to be very, very difficult. And if Osborne isn't like very, very strong, because they're needed to basically get in, get the kill, like secure it, or they're just going to get layered on with CC. So I think it's going to be very potent for them to either go for picks, or they're going to have to be very decisive and very decisive in their fights.
Yeah, so I hope low class brought their dancing shoes here, because with the amount of circles here, this is flat out beyond just the Venn diagram of death here. You've got multiple circles. This is closer to the Olympic circles of death at this point. And low class on this Vayne, your range is so short that you're going to have to constantly be dancing in and out of those circles. If you misstep, if you get caught by one of those hard CCs, they're just going to power right in, pop you, and then that's a lot of their damage off the table for the side of Osborne.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So I think it's going to be down to kind of execution and stuff here. But I think we should, you've talked about like which lanes are pushing and stuff like that. I think it might be nice to just maybe highlight which lanes are going to be priority. Like, should the jungler like prioritize this lane, or should maybe he get ahead and focus on kind of denying the Nunu any chance in the jungle?
That is a very good question, John. I'm actually not sure what their preference should necessarily be, because for Osborne specifically, the Hecarim, like, I think buy is always a winning condition. So even though I don't think that matchup is necessarily one that you might want to gank repeatedly with the Hecarim, I do feel like it's just because it's buy. It's less to do with the champion and more to do with the player. Again, mid lane, just leave it alone. Super Mario on Vladimir, like he's just gonna farm. That's how Super Mario plays. Your bot lane as well. We talked about the fact that Vayne Lulu, when they're ahead, extremely scary. Into a Jinx Morg though, who's super safe. Pardon me. I feel like if your Hecarim can get in there, you can get a kill. So I almost feel like you should be ganking that, and then just let Nunu do Nunu things, and you just try and gank the lanes. That's my personal preference. But again, the argument can be made for ganking the Nunu, trying to keep him behind. And it comes down, I feel like, to which is the bigger threat here. Is the Nunu going to be the bigger threat, or is it going to be the Jinx? And I don't know enough about McNally to necessarily call that one here in game one, which is great because we got a best of 3 and I can correct that on the upcoming games.
Exactly. So I think another interesting to note is Nico, because with Nico being a versatile champ, you talked about maybe Nivea main. Yeah, I like my lizard girl. But you can go into interesting builds and stuff like that, but you can go in like maybe like a glacial augment build, which does offer you a little bit more CC, and then you transition into the Everfrost. But I think McNally is not really lacking the CC and won't go into that, but that would give them a really strong jungle mid duo where they just have so much single target CC that ganking a lane kind of becomes a cinch, because you have like basically 3 individual like roots or stuns from Nico herself if you go through that build. But I think because they are lacking a little bit of AP damage on the side of McNally, because Nunu doesn't output the most damage, and Morgana is obviously going to be building more of a supportive style with AP focus, I think she will probably just go into the Electrocute build, which does give you far more damage but a little bit less utility.
Yeah, and I mean, there's always, the Dark Harvest, Night Harvester, pardon me, not Dark Harvest. Dark Harvest is the rune. Night Harvester. That is an option as well for maximum burst damage if you feel like you already have enough CC for that Nico. There's plenty of options, and yeah, it comes down a lot to the counter engage. McNally's jungler, though, we talked so much about where Muhammad could go, but I want to point out that Micro as well, in terms of the Nunu jungle, you can gank every lane, and you've got kill potential, you've got CC potential. So I feel like while Muhammad's got a tough choice in where you want to go, Micro, the map's your oyster, man. Anywhere.
Yeah, and I think just like the amount of layered CC they have from all the lanes too, because you gank top, you can obviously go to Wukong. Well, that one's a little bit later on, but like mid lane, you got Nico root, and I think bot lane is actually going to be incredibly potent, because if you do manage to knock them up in any way, you can go into binding if it's not what you used to engage with, into traps. Like you can basically make one of their champions stand there for probably like 6 seconds.
They're invading.
They're invading. Oh, are they doing it? Oh no! Wait, I don't think they spotted this.
They didn't spot it. No, they don't.
Oh my goodness! Wait, are they counter invading? Oh no, okay, they got the ward coming down. Oh, we got a spicy start. Okay, they're looking around for the jungler. Oh, they might actually catch out this set. They got the full fight. Turns out the set is retreating. Okay, I think they've noticed it at this point. They're looking for it. Okay, we got the engage. The Wukong's getting a little bit of some slaps in, but nothing out of it. But I definitely enjoyed that.
We want to see level 1 action. I guess we got some action. It's about time.
And the Wukong slapped him.
Yeah, that is action, I suppose. That was just, what are the odds you get where you take the jungle tour, the extended jungle tour, no less, for the side of McNally? You don't find anyone at all. I almost would have liked to see them just sort of go back in when they saw Bye, I Loves You, and just try and catch them when they're coming in the other route, right? Because you just rotate back in the blue pit, maybe you catch him there. Instead, after all that extensive walking, all that cardio there, it's just standard starts.
Yeah, just standard starts. Big clears coming up for both jungglers here. We're just got some fighting, some slapping up in the top lane here, and I do think Set wins this just because of the conqueror coming down, and that's Bye just showing top lane. Very, very confident, understands where the power spikes of their champions are quite well. And I think actually thing to note too is the ward coming down just on the Raptors on blue side. It will let them spot the Hecarim and know what path they're doing if they opt to not go for the double buff. I think that will kind of show where the priority for the Hecarim is going, because I think the bottom scuttle will, as you, it will be important because of just how easy it is to bring your Morgana up to, like, say, gank. Well, you don't really want to gank the Vlad, but you can bring Morgana to do roams onto different parts of the maps. But also the Nico can come down and just enable you with root and stuff like that onto the bottom lane. But I think we got a fight coming up here. Oh, they're looking for it, but they are just standing on a ward, but a huge pullback by Bai. But yeah, just standing on the ward there, they know they are safe and will not engage onto that.
Yeah, well played from Micro to just back off there. There's no need to counter gank because there's nothing you can do. Oh, and this is super bad. It's about time to get the recall.
At this point, oh, misses the pullback though. Nice flash here from the Wukong, getting things out, and the turret shots are ramping up. Oh, the triumph are the level saves over. Here comes the counter in. Huge TP down from McNally. Oh, they're getting the kills here, and that's a 2-for-1 trade in the favor of McNally.
Okay, so a whole bunch of things there. First, let's start off with It's About Time. Because It's About Time, if they did not stop the recall, they would have been safe. But they did stop the recall. Their nerf failed, and that cost them. And that was just sheer mechanical outplay from Bai in lane already to get them in that position. But it's the micro versus the macro here. We talked about Osborne better micro, but McNally, the macro, the rotations, no hesitation TP from Ripper as well to be able to turn that.
You're going to see the pull and it does nothing. But here's the horse looking to hit the snowball out of their hand. Oh, actually, I thought, Nunu, see him coming down. Actually trading pretty effectively in the early game, but knows that the enemy jungler is there and will not commit to it. And actually with the bot lane pushing up as well, probably does not want to contest the scuttle.
Yeah, I mean, you can run it and you can try and consume smite it. Very risky. That ward shows that Super Mario is there as well. So just give it up. You already got one scuttle there. Trying to get two, I think, would have been a little greedy from Micro. And Micro is actually up in CS right now because while Mohammed was setting up for that top lane gank, Micro took the efficient route, cleared a bit of the jungle, and then just took the snowball right back up there.
Exactly. That's some more trading up in the top lane here. Oh man, the CS differential is not where you want to be.
Times.
But luckily with the Wukong, no, I think Bai is going to maybe get this kill down here, and a huge, what did, I blanked on the name of the ability, and I now sound dumb. Slaps him with the fist and gets the kill up on the top lane. Beautiful solo kill. Haymaker?
Yes, that's
wow, I messed up on like the most like Western Canadian word I possibly could. Good job, me. Raised in Alberta, by the way, but a beautiful kill being picked up by Bai up in the top lane there and just creating this huge CS differential. Now, it isn't completely awful for the Wukong just because of the passive scaling and you get into armor and stuff like that, so you might be able to survive. And honestly, at the end of the day, you can just build to just ult.
Yes and no. I mean, yes, Wukong will always have utility. It's kind of like the Malphite, right? You've got the Cyclone, you've got the big AoE ultimate. That's all you need to do. But John, I'm not sure I can agree that it's not going to feel bad for the Wukong because I think it's going to feel really
it's going to feel real bad. I'm just like softening the blow. I'm like, there's this nice part at the end. You just got to get beat down by this buff bird guy, okay?
I guess he's Vestayan, right?
He's Vestayan. I mean, he kind of just like, with the ears and the way his hair goes, he kind of looks like, I think they based his champion on being like, looking like a little bird-like, you know?
Okay, because I mean, I was thinking like, what bird are you basing him on? Like an ostrich? Big bird? Like, he's pretty huge, man. Like he's pretty buff. I don't know if you've seen those. Look at those muscles. We got the zoom in earlier. Beautiful, absolute specimen. And you know what? I actually really like the fact that Bai's playing this because I think it fits Bai's sort of status right now on Osborne. He is the boss, right? Like I said, I want to see ganks to top lane because Bai can carry a game. Bai don't need no ganks. He's going to take over the lane himself here.
Yeah, exactly. And he's pulling priority up from the Nunu here. They are setting up for the gank, but honestly, I feel like Bai might have a damage, particularly with the Haymaker. They get the knock up here, and they are going into the root. Huge damage coming down, but to disengage the fight. And you see, it's just so difficult to gank this, and that's allowing the Hecarim to take Dragon down at the bottom. It's almost you need to leave this lane suffer, because if you pull your Nunu up here, you get all your other lanes behind, you lose so much jungle presence.
100% on that is exactly what they need to do. Leave it alone. It's about time here. You only just want to gank every once in a while just to make sure It's About Time isn't going to die. You have no kill pressure. You're not level 6 on either the Nunu or the Wukong, but they're looking for the repeat.
But they're going in for another gank, completely disregarding our word. The Haymaker is fully stacked up here. Can potentially turn around. And look at a huge damage coming out from Bai, but the Nunu is so tanky, and he's actually tanking minions at the same time. But so much damage coming out, the overcommit, but they just don't have the damage to finish. Oh my god! Gets the auto in, and Bai is too good at this darn video game.
Vi doesn't even need the phase breaker. He'll just phase break you with autos there. It's about time going in and instantly gets auto. That was brutal to watch here. I want to point out that It's About Time has gone from 8 times less CS now to only about half the amount of CS. But in terms of absolute numbers, still down about 28 CS. So the CS gap is not really closing. The goal differential, holy right now.
It is, yes.
Oh, that's what 1.3K. It's like all the gold lead for the team right now is sitting in that top lane.
Yeah, so it's like, it's to the point where you just almost want to leave this alone, because the Wukong does have the nice advantage of just being able to stack that armor just passively from his kit. So he's harder to completely punish compared to other champions. Say if this was like a raw tank, maybe like Ornn or something like that, even though they do scale up in the late game, the set would just be walking all over them. With Wukong does have kind of a chance, like you're not going to get back in this lane. You're always going to be down in CS, but you can get to the point where he can't just like immediately kill you.
Right. And while this whole top lane thing's been happening, while we've been looking here the entire time, Micro actually managed to hit level 6 before Mohamed, despite sitting in that top, or maybe because he sat in that top lane and leached some lane XP here. But there are other places you can look to. Forget the Herald. You're not going to get the Herald unless you rotate your bot lane up. So I think right now, just look to try and get your bot lane, get your mid lane snowballing ahead a little bit. We didn't touch on it, but the Vladimir Super Mario running Ghost Ignite here. So no flash. Yes, you can pull away, but if you just sit right on top of him the entire time, absolute zero, he has to come back out. And without flash, you know exactly where he's coming back out.
Oh no, we got the engage from the Vayne onto the Nunu in the bot there. They're looking to turn around. Like I thought the Condemn would knock him in the wall, and the Vayne damage might actually just be enough with the Lulu buff, but no, the Nunu does get out. They are looking to set up here for probably a counter jungle.
Yeah, or they might just go for Herald here, right? Like, Bai is so far ahead right now that It's About Time. Look how far It's About Time has to walk right now. And even here, has to be super, super careful that Bai's not sitting in the other bush, waiting to punch his face in. And with that much power topside, that's why I said, just abandon Herald. You can't contest it without your bot lane being up there.
Oh, but you got the snowball coming down into the bot lane.
Oh, Snow Shackles.
On the, oh my god, it's going to come down and Condemn pushing the one, but they are still stunned by the Nunu snowball. And they're looking to get this double kill off here. Huge Nunu going down. And we got the kill on the Nunu, and 1 kill secured crucially by the AD carry. A good gold shell there by McNally and a beautiful gank.
I didn't actually see what... Oh, okay, Cyclone from It's About Time. So there we go, right? Like, even if you're behind, the Cyclone does work. It's About Time stopping the TP. Might actually have a saved Bai, though. I feel like if Bai had shown up down there, that's the one time you might be able to do him, when you've got enough people. 3 members. Unfortunately, didn't manage to do it. Hello.
Mid lane. Okay, we reversed it now. We're usually it's like we talk about things top dives. No, we position into mid. It's the rule of the tournament. A beautiful solo kill coming down from Ripper in the mid lane there on the Nico. We got some counter jump from Micro here. Should be able to escape. Oh, maybe not. Maybe the horse is too fast. Beautiful knockback here from Hecarim. They're just smelted down, but the Nunu is a little too tanky. Here's the chomp, and I mean, it's kind of just a beaten into a wall. Oh my goodness, the fear back into the Lulu. The polymorph damage. I just managed to get the kill. The Lulu being there is so crucial. Beautiful solo kill and a massive punish on that counter jungle coming out from the Osborne jungler.
It might not have been the cleanest, John. It might not have been the fastest, John, but it did happen. Hecarim did manage to take Nunu down. And so it looks like Mohamed's opted for the kill Nunu route here rather than the gank lane route. And it's working, honestly, right? Like, you don't have to gank your lanes when they're doing okay. Yes, Super Mario died, but it's a Vladimir. He'll come back. The vampires never stay dead. We know this. The bot side as well. You know, with the Vayne will also scale up. Apparently, Vampire Hunters also don't stay dead for very long. So you don't have to gank those lanes. And the one lane that you really wanted to gank to try and get ahead is already absolutely dominating. So they can just scale up to the mid game, to the big team fights.
Yeah, I think crucially because they had to spend so much time. They spent so much time top. It allowed the Hecarim to just get to the point where like he can play against this Nunu. Like he is like equal on CS, but I'm pretty sure the gold lead is in his favor, just simply from ganks and stuff like that. So I think punishing the Nunu route is like the way to play right now, simply because of just like how much top lane pressure and how much they invested the Nunu up there, and kind of just like almost wasted a lot of time. And actually, I mean, gave it the double kill as well. So I think it's a very good idea to just punish that. But also, if the Hecarim's able to punish the jungler, get him behind, he also is just so strong. The gank ganks become easy, but it looks like we do have a dragon take from McNally here. Osborne is very aware, but I think they're a little slow on the rotate, and the jungler's top, so that's actually just going to be a free dragon going over to McNally, assuming that they don't steal it to Jinx also.
Yeah, they're just not in position there. Clout Drake, not, again, unfortunately not huge. It's going to be nice. There's a lot of big ultimates here, but not the biggest. The bigger issue is this soul that just came up. Right? It was going to be either Inferno or Ocean, both of which are huge. It is going to be Inferno right now. And I feel like Inferno actually plays better to the side of Osborne right now, where they want to have more ground to be able to kite around, versus McNally, who would have preferred, you know, a tighter map with more bushes where they can set up a lot more ambushes with all their AoE ultimates. So things kind of coming up Osborne's way, especially as first turret goes down the top side.
And I think particularly it's going to be super strong on Bai, who is already just so far ahead. Because, I mean, as dumb as it sounds, the set can auto attack 3 times very quickly, just kind of keep proccing the dragon buff. Like during the extended fights, particularly with the Wukong. So even though the Wukong can get more armor and maybe potentially tank it for a bit, there's just going to be so much set damage coming down like initially, and then the dragon buff is just going to be so huge on him.
It's about time. Actually, the fact that Shelly got taken down before it hit the inner turret is pretty good from It's About Time there, able to sort of mitigate some of the damage there. And what I want to see from McNally right now is not so much jungle ganks. I want to see Ripper being rotated instead to help out the jungle, to help out the top lane. And here we go.
All right, and speaking of it, here it is. Now they do spot out this gank. Oh, it goes for Max Remote. Good dodge with the Stride Breaker. They still do have more CC on the line. As you can see, the giant snowball into Wukong. And this is just a wombo combo they do have. They have to make sure they don't overcommit to death. That's a huge shutdown going into Ripper. I actually think it's probably better to do that and just keep your mid lane, who's already very strong, rolling, because as you said, you can rotate around the map. Just keep your Nico as strong as you can.
Yeah, really solid gank there, and there's just no escape from Bai. Good hold on the flash as well. You wouldn't have gotten out even if you did flash away. So hold that for later fights, for more lane pressure there. But Ripper 3-0. We've been harping so much on Bai, but I want to point out that Ripper's even in CS, even in kills, and even in terms of pressure as well. So for all that Bai is a huge threat for Osborne, McNally has Ripper to answer.
Yeah, and Ripper actually went into the Everfrost as opposed to like the Ludens are another option here. So that's showing that they actually do want to play around the lane pressure, like you said, because just the amount of raw CC you get from going into the Everfrost from Nico is ridiculous. Because you get E, then you Everfrost after, and then you can ult. Like all of that, as long as you hit your first initial stun, and I think that's like 6 seconds of like solid CC. It's actually really ridiculous.
Yeah, and even if you miss the Everfrost route, there's still the snow portion of it as well, right? So you don't need to necessarily root the target down, because when you look on the side of Osborne, the only person with sort of a quick instantaneous gap closer is going to be that Vayne, or maybe that Hecarim ultimate here. And speaking of the Vayne,
the snowball onto the bottom, has to flash away from the dark binding. They're looking for a re-engage here with the Hecarim. Well, the Jinx is kind of overstepped. They may be able to bring it back in here, but Op's not. Oh, they're just staying away. I don't know if the Hecarim is going to go in here. They have sight
just
on
waiting
the
for
Nunu.
micro.
All right, Nunu has completely left, and they don't have sight on this Hecarim. Oh, they've overcommitted.
Here we go.
And here comes the Hecarim from downtown, punishing the Nunu early, but a huge flash coming down, but the Hecarim ult is there to secure it. We got double TPs coming down in the lane. The Morgana ult knocks them up, but Nunu with the re-engage onto the Lulu. Unfortunately, whips the Nico ult, but still gets a little bit of a shield on it. Oh, and the Nunu ult is actually huge, and they've got them all locked down in it, and fully charges it and gets max damage on that, but Bai is just cleaning up on the back of the team fight. Kong trying to finish him off, but no, you can't fight Bai to the tower there. And Bai actually will probably be able to clean this up. You just don't quite have enough damage in the Nunu. They're tanking it away, but the Haymaker is probably going to be coming online here. It's a triple kill coming down for Bai, and Bai still has. There's the Haymaker there. It's so much damage. Oh, it's going to punish him. Oh no, he gets out, and that's going to be probably the kill picked up by the Vlad here. Wait, there's a kill. Oh, I got so scared. And that was a beautiful play. The TP's coming in, and just even more gold on Bai.
That fight was an absolute massacre in the ball. I'm still trying to calculate who actually survived it. I feel like only Super Mario survived at the end of that. Is that right, John? Can you
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I feel like everybody went down there, and the Bai going down as well beat it. It's about time to come back in with that Haymaker there. That shield was massive. Was it enough? No, but instead you give the kill over to Vlad, and I think that's honestly worse for McNally, better for Osborne, because your carries are going to be the Vayne, going to be the Vlad here. Your tank's going to be that tanky.
On here, you just see how much CC the Nico has, and I mean Dark Binding's enough already, but you know we're going to add another like 6 seconds to that. You ain't moving today.
Yep, and with the Lulu down as well, Inferno is about to spawn just as Fake Susie's back up. No TP on the support, as is only right. So that means that this should be McNally's Dragon. If they want to take it, if they rotate to it, they can just burn it right down.
Exactly. So just playing around the map and stuff like that, because McNally is a little bit behind on the gold lead, but they have critical power spikes, I think, in the bottom lane, because obviously the Fed member on Osborne, it's very obvious it's buy, but he is down the TP and lane. And I think the 4 core of McNally at the current moment is stronger than that of Osborne, and they also just have a stronger smite in the form of the Nunu Chomp into smite itself.
Yeah, all the gold on the side of Osborne is into buy right now. So yeah, you're 100% right that the core is so much stronger for the side of McNally, and that's what you need to see them play around. Micro, a little bit risky here. Ooh, does not have a lot of magic resist from the amount of chunk he's taking from Super Mario.
Yeah, no, not particularly. So looks like we do have quite a dominant vision control on the side of McNally in the bottom river, but some clearing coming out here. Oh, Ripper's looking for the pick.
He's going the other way though.
Yeah, he's going the other way. It's not gonna happen. Yo, the dream was there. I respect it, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Oh wait, no. Okay, he like, oh yeah, no, actually couldn't see him there. But man, that would have been just funny if like the Lulu accidentally just went left and then the prophecy just fulfilled itself.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not over yet, but kind of is, because low class is there, and oh, it's about time. It's just now stuck in this top lane. No teleport available, and we have to track the teleports. It's about time now, because I don't think they're going to be able to...
on the Lulu here. Oh, the Evercross hits on the tip. Everything got the knockdown. They're going to kill probably off the Lulu here very quickly, and then switch their attention to the Vayne, but the Vayne's dropping it down into the wall, doing so much damage. The gang coming down from the head from the advantage to turn this around. The Vayne damage is too good. Oh, but the Dark Binding is so crucial to keep the Vayne out of that fight and deny some of the damage. But here's the Vlad coming in and securing the damage. Oh, and going to run down the Jinx. And it's just it's too much damage. But actually, I don't know if they get the turret dive here with the Hecarim. What the hell am I saying? And that's so much damage with the Hecarim. The triple kill coming down to Osborne. It's just so much damage.
It's about time the freebie in the top side for buy as well there. That was a clean ace, cross map ace, which Osborne just kind of got. And this just seems to be the Osborne special. It doesn't matter how far down you are in the early game. It doesn't matter how bad the game looks for you, as long as you're within spitting distance, of the other team, you can definitely bounce back here. 8 stacks on that Darksteel for Super Mario, and Osborne well in the driver's seat right now.
Yeah, I think it's crucial, as you're highlighting, that they're able to just come back, and I think that's related to, obviously you can see the individual skill and like outplays and stuff like that, but the Osborne team is actually just so good at simply CSing, particularly low class, because low class has played a lot of like losing lanes and stuff like that, and has always maintained a CS advantage over the lane opponent. I think the only particular one is when like they basically just had access to none, but it's just so dominant in these lanes that even though there are a lot of kills on the side of McNally, just the pure CS advantages that Osborne is able to maintain and keep up is actually just mitigating a lot of the gold lead that like these other teams that get ahead of them should have. So I think it's a pretty good reflection of why farming is just so important in this game.
Yeah, and not only is the CS super important, but I'm just also looking at in terms of who's been really participating in these fights, right? Like low class 1, 2, and 4 right now has not been the main carrier of the fights. And it's not that low class is dying, it's just low class is not there for some of these fights. So imagine that they're winning these fights right now without all their members together. Once they start grouping up, once they do get there in time, things are just going to get from bad to worse for the side of McNally. They drafted a sort of AoE team, and we spoke about the fact that AoE teams need to win AoE fights. If they can't even win those fights, then they really don't have another comeback mechanic. There is no other option. Picks are not great for this team. They've got a Dark Binding, but little else to follow up.
Yeah, particularly, I highlighted the counter engage on the side of McNally here, but the problem is Osborne at their current state is able to just burst them down immediately on the engage. So because they've kind of fallen behind on like, I think just particularly burst damage, mostly in the form of the set and stuff like that, but I think Osborne with enough damage to destroy a carry instantly. And even though McNally does have the good engage, there's too much damage on the side of Osborne right now because they are just ahead 6k gold, and oh no, I think our poor Wukong is getting picked on again. Maybe some slow damage coming out here. Now they don't have a ton of CC here, but they do have the TP being committed here. And now they're returning on the Vladimir. The Vladimir crucially goes down, and the Nico TP is gonna. Oh no!
Oh no!
Bye. To be rude, and Vi is gonna get kicked here. Beautiful lockup from the Nico. But they're going to get all the Vayne on the bottom side, but they get them knocked up. Oh, into the Dark Binding. Dark Binding narrowly whiffs on the Lulu. Got some fights up in their top lane. Bai is looking to re-engage on this fight. Oh, the knockup! Just cancels the Lulu ult early, and the Vayne is just so strong into Bai. Gets the suplex into the enemy team. There's so much. Oh my god, that Haymaker did so much. And this is Bai. He's going to be cleaning up this fight. I don't think the Jinx is going to be able to get away from this, particularly when there's a Lulu to back them up. And that is a beautiful quadra coming down from Bai.
Boss Bai. I thought Bai was dead to rights when he TP'd in, but the distraction from low class and fake Susie was enough. It's not about the Vayne carry. We got it all wrong, John. It's all about the set here. He will wreck the game. And Ice Barriers, the pathing was so unfortunate. Ice Barriers did not participate. The Jinx once again did not get to put out pretty much any damage to that fight till it was too late, till they were trying to 1v2, and against the set, against the Lulu, you aren't getting away from that.
No, I just have so many ways to get on them. I think that was actually a good indication of like the counter engage from McNally was actually fairly good when they set up that Nunu ult and stuff like that. But the Lulu ult crucially, I think it was the Lulu ult, crucially came out and just knocked up the Nunu, stopped like the burst damage coming out from that, and then they just completely turned the engage. The set came down, completely just cleaned up house. So it's just the point where Osborne is so far ahead that even though McNally can sometimes counter engage, it's got almost the opposite problem where the initial engage of Osborne is too strong, and the counter engage of McNally just simply can't kill them. And it's kind of just like back and forth game of like, oh, where you are in the gold lead and stuff like that. So it's to the point where I think Osborne can kind of just slap them down with their wallets, and there's not a whole lot McNally can do except for maybe punish mistakes or kind of force pressure on some of these neutral objectives.
Yeah, I don't want to say at this point that Osborne is so far ahead there's no coming back just yet. The wallets are thick, but they aren't one-shotting McNally quite just yet. The issue though is that the comeback mechanic for McNally right now is on Ice Barriers, is on this Jinx. It is on them to be able to survive and output the damage. And so far, we've not seen that. Building the Immortal Shield Bolt into Runan's Hurricane gives you a bit more survivability, but not necessarily as much burst damage as we might sometimes see from like a Kraken Slayer Jinx, nor does it give you the safety of a Gale Force. So I suspect they need to stall for one more item, and maybe when the IE or something like that comes out, then I
mind up the Stride Breaker into the pulls, the Morgana in, and that's going to be the burst damage. Oh, and the Hecarim ult over the wall confirms the kill. That's a huge pick out on the side of Osborne.
Yeah, and that one's going to cost them, because now Baron's open. Yes, it was just a support going down, but for McNally, you need every available member. Look at their vision right now. They've lost control completely of the top side. They can't leave their base whatsoever here. Even the bot side with vision is not safe for them.
I mean, they're even killing this fairly quick for not having the Vayne. I think the minute the Vayne gets there, that Baron is just going to melt off the face of the planet.
Yep, there we go.
That damage coming out. Oh my goodness.
You don't want to contest that. McNally, you just want to shove out your lanes as best as you can, because if you can shove out the lanes fast enough, far enough before Baron buff comes into play, it'll burn, roughly about 30 to 60 seconds while Osborne has to shove it up. Now, Ice Barriers, we were just talking about the Jinx here needing that next item. Just bought a longsword. Ice Barriers is a long ways away, so this particular Baron push is going to be utterly devastating. For McNally, if they can survive an inhibitor turret, that's a win for them. Forget your inner turrets, abandon all hope for the inner turrets. You're just going to protect your base.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great way to put it. We got a little bit of a fight up here. Looking for the peek over the wall. Okay, narrowly misses the Dark Binding. Ain't catching him with that. Ult goes on to the Wukong, and just so much pressure being pulled away by the set into this top lane. They're just slowly. I like that they are utilizing every single lane to push up with the Baron buff and just getting the maximum amount of value out of it as they humanly can. I mean, Ice Barriers is just tickling the Hecarim.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Literally in the split push right now, all of them will win their individual matchups. McNally needs roughly about 2 extra people. Even if the Morg Wukong had found the binding on Bai, what are you going to do? Bai will just sit there and take it, right? Like, you literally tickle him at this point.
Yeah, and particularly because he has the Sterix gauge online too, so just so much survivability in those fights between the Haymaker and the Sterix gauge. And I mean, I think it's crucial that the Vlad doesn't quite have TP to come in these fights, but I think the format, like literally any format on the side of Osborne is so strong at this point that you can afford to just have your Vlad in the side lane pushing it up.
Yeah, and more importantly, the Vlad too, can you actually kill him? Even if you can push him off, you can't kill him. Oh, Victor, not again.
Oh, so much damage.
I wasn't sure Victor was going to survive. I feel like if low class had been there with an EP2, and look, there you go.
Root up, but look, his entire health bar's back.
Exactly. It doesn't do anything whatsoever. The regen on set as well is very, very deceptive. Yes, when he's high health, the regen's not that fast, but the lower he gets, the harder it is to kill him.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is one of like the weaknesses of going into that equal too. Now, Bai is like incredibly far ahead, and it's hard to damage him with anything. But you do lose a lot of burst damage, and even like especially maybe like the Leandry's build, for example, like just dot. So, but you get just so much CC and advantage. But because they are lower on the damage scales, and they have a Morgana as well, the team actually does lack quite a bit of AP damage. Because I mean, the Nunu is really only hitting hard if he does manage to charge up a full ult. And unfortunately, with their AD carry being behind, and their Wukong kind of just being a distraction at this point, to be perfectly honest, they don't have a lot of damage of any type.
Yeah,
across the
exactly. Yeah, it's not an issue of physical versus magic anymore. It's just we need some damage.
We need some
anywhere.
Just give me some.
Okay, so we see the last whisper coming up from Ice Bears. I like it when you're behind, especially when we talk about the Sterix gauge, the tankiness coming through from Bai here. Having that armor penetration, I feel like is definitely going to be very, very efficient for Ice Barriers, but it isn't going to cut through low class very well. It's not necessarily going to be that huge an issue for Super Mario. Acquired now by Osborne, when about 10 minutes ago we were talking just about how McNally had the stronger core. They were the ones looking for a potential Infernal Soul. Osborne have turned everything on its head. Not quite a 10k gold lead yet, so again, a big wallet, but not like a Gucci or Hermes or pick your poison. I don't know what brands are big right now. Not quite there yet, but we're getting there.
We've talked about my college budget. I can't even afford the $2 wallet made of duct tape, man.
Yeah, are you from McNally here?
Oh no! Come on, man. Already in the grave. We can't push them further. But yeah, as you said, there is still a chance to come back if they play around this map and rotate on it. But I think a problem they're going to run into is actually Nico does have a kind of an issue of their damage does fall off even if you go further in the game just because of her scaling. She still hits like a truck, but compared to something like the Vlad, you're doing pretty negligible damage just strictly in comparison. And I mean, Morgana is always going to be on that support build, so not a lot of damage coming out of there. So I think they just don't have the superior scaling because I think the Jinx and the Vayne do scale very effectively, but you've got like a Vayne, you got a Vayne, a Hecarim, and a Vlad on the other team.
Yeah, in terms of skilling, the skillings are not in their favor, but the fact that you've got a Jinx kind of is, because you can potentially burst down the Vayne before she can become a threat with just the range advantage. Same with the Vladimir, and the issue becomes less about the Jinx later and more about, can the rest of the team buy you enough time? Are they tanky enough? Can they survive the Vayne and the Vlad? And right now the answer is no. You don't even survive this set here. They did, however, as I said, win in that they didn't lose any inhibitor turrets. And you're starting to see Osborne struggling to get those turrets without Baron right now. Baron up in a minute, Soul up in 3 here. If they get either of those, I have little doubt that they'll crack the base. And once the base is cracked, they can start killing you inside the base where there's open ground and no turrets to threaten or pinch them.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good way to put it. But as you can see, the vision is just going to be so difficult for McNally to even set up here. So I just did the Baron take and everything like that. It's to the point where there's so many wards in the favor of Osborne here. You can't even approach the Baron pit, or even the Baron pit luckily has like not a lot of leading up to it. But if you try to get any wards on the bottom side of the dragon or anything like that, it's going to be just near impossible to get anything set up. And it's like, oh, they might have a pick out of the Hector here. They're looking for, they're going to lock up with this. Oh, dodge the snowball! Happy beats one ball. Gets away from the snowball. Wow, and just gets set up in the jungle there. But yeah, they are definitely pacing around the Baron, looking to set that up, denying the vision in the top jungle, or attempting to. There isn't really a whole lot from McNally, but they were searching for it to ensure that they can easily take this Baron. But McNally is very aware that this is the win condition they're looking towards, and is looking to set it up. Now the Hecarim is on the flank here, and if he fears them in to Osborne,
Ice barriers.
It's going to be horrendous. Oh,
ice barrier.
Nice flash coming out, but he holds on to the E. What a beautiful play from the Hecarim, and the Wukong ult really doesn't do a whole lot. And McNally is just not back. We've got to run away from this, trying to get the Wukong out, but you can't escape from the fast boy horse, and that's a double kill coming down for the Hecarim. They're backing away to base, but actually I think Osborne is just going to push the issue here, take a turret, and the Nico ult going to walk it under, but just honestly not going to do a whole lot when all you get is the set. I'm going to try and run them down, but goes to the wall! And they still have Heckler Mall from that whole fight, and that is Ripper going down. Fight's coming up from the Vayne, looking for the Morgana ult. The stun's going to come down, but they're going to Meteor on Wake Up, and that's the Morgana going down, and Osborne is looking to succeed and finish off the first game of Grand Finals. I just don't think, the death timers are completely their disadvantage. The Jinx is up in 3 seconds, but you ain't going to 2v5 with how fed Osborne is. We got one more fight going in here. Actually, that's a big lockup. The Jinx is up putting so much damage. Low Blast is going down. Nunu ult actually ticking up, and they're focusing on the turrets, kind of leaving them over there to die, but staying alive for so long to focus down the turrets. And
that surrender.
They just surrendered. I kind of had they actually may have been able to turn that around if they kited correctly. I'm actually kind of surprised they surrendered.
I mean, I think Bai just stands there and punches your turret, and you actually can't kill Bai fast enough to stop everything. And don't forget,
yeah, but there's a chance, and you got to take that chance.
True. I mean, well, actually, this is the best of 3 here, John. So we actually have a bit more leeway here. The fact that they can surrender, and they're not out yet. We still have a game 2, potentially a game 3. McNally's backs are up against a wall here, but we have to remember they were the first team to secure Grand Finals here. They took out Osborne 2, and frankly, they took out Osborne 2 in style. So they still have a chance here to take Osborne 1 as well. They just need to not die in the 1v1 quite as badly, because it really felt like that's what it came down to. Bai just won the 1v1 too hard, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. So you don't have to win it, just don't lose it too hard.
Yeah, I know, because the top lane was kind of a fiasco with just them getting behind and stuff like that. But I think the fact that they did pull the jungler away and everything like that did kind of result in just an unfortunate situation, allowing the Hecarim to scale, and then they just kind of ran it all the way home as soon as they did get the advantage here. McNally was holding on for a while, but then Osborne kind of put the nail in the coffin. But we're going to quickly shoot the break here before we get into the second match, and we will see you there. Stay tuned.